So there was a long-awaited exchange of the terrible American Britney Griner, this basketball fiend, for the sweet and kind arms dealer Viktor Bout, who illegally languished in the dungeons of Washington for 14 years. And that's all you need to know about the mores of a flourishing cave, where monsters, turned inside out, appear as heroes in golden armor. The main thing is not to surrender the fathers, and Sechin himself will fight for you, putting a Mauser to the heads of the hostages. And Putin will put forward conditions to Biden himself, who will accept them, despite the protests of high-ranking law enforcement officers who have been chasing the arms baron for years. Here is a victory. This is success. The Pengotin region is crying. The Chikatils are applauding. In the paradigm of a long war with the West, and for Putin and his chaps, so simply lifelong, Bout's knowledge and experience are necessary. You can be sure that he will soon return to business and still please the cannibals with his achievements. On December 8th, in the Georgievsky Hall of the Kremlin, Putin rewarded his killers and marauders. Even Shuiga and Gerasimov, who lost everything possible, were awarded heroic stars, and Putin, the banquet one, swelled with joy, appearing in front of the cameras with a glass and unleashing his vulgar language. It's a pity that Strelkov and Prigozhin were not invited. These Chikatils have long deserved the order of the burning ass. However, the terrorist Strelkov, who did not take root in the dugout of Donbass, returned to Moscow, after which he announced that he was going to go into politics. So what? Lugovoy is already in session with the State Duma. So it's time for Prigozhin to create his own party of sledgehammers to replace the LDPR's bathing bachelor party, and move straight towards Okhotny Riyadh, waving democratic bats. You look, and over time it will replace the soft-bodied Volodin, who, after the adoption of the law on the ban on LGBT people, looks in the speaker's chair like an outdated vulgar atavism. The transfer of the country to a military footing looks like a necessary measure for the survival of the gang itself, which has settled in the hut and does not want to surrender to the mercy of the winners. For a while, they can still hold out, bristling with their squeakers to the outside world. But the black Colonel Aleksandr is already hysterical, anticipating the inevitability. It is impossible to restore what has been destroyed in 30 years in a few months. And so the threat of our military defeat looms on the horizon. And this means a shameful capitulation followed by the collapse of the country and the disappearance of the 1,000-year-old Russian state from the political map of the world. And the only way to prevent this will be the use of tactical nuclear weapons. Does everyone know what to prepare for? The lads will not last long in the hut, even on an abundance of pickles and sauerkraut. Income from the sale of energy resources will decrease, internal reserves will be depleted, so that the barrel of nuclear powder on which the Godfather sits will sooner or later be bombed in the name of cave retribution. The fastened quarries are illuminated by bright flashes of fire, either at the Barnaul tire plant, or in Khimki near Moscow, where it blazed so that Hollywood pyrotechnicians were envious. Not to mention the airfields of Engels and Dyagilevo, where Ukrainian drones visited at the beginning of the week, causing a childish commotion in the ranks of the indestructible nuclear triad. Among systemic liberals, there is mourning at all. Latvia saw toxic slush in the Sotnik-TV channel and interrupted broadcasting. Following it, liberal Mukrua was dried up in Lithuania and Estonia. That and look, they will focus in the Netherlands, where the raincoats successfully wept for themselves a whole office provided by the authorities of Amsterdam. The example of the Baltic countries can be contagious, both for the Netherlands and for Germany, where a conspiracy of Reichsbürgers was recently uncovered, and several Russians were among those arrested. The tentacles of the Chekist criminal octopus have spread so widely over the past decades that they will have to be cut off exactly in Putin's way, so as not to grow. So the KGB mother will be very hurt for her crushed larvae of influence. Putin's aide Yuri Ushakov was forced to admit that the project of a single space from Lisbon to Vladivostok failed. It will be rolled up and crawled deep into the cave. Russia did not get an apartment in a common European house. We were not allowed to, Ushakov sighed and added, yes, and we ourselves now understand that these expectations and prospects were, in general, quite illusory. And he went into the darkness, to grow wool for the political winter, where only the chickadils, who are already ready to tear live meat, will be warm and cheerful. The sausage friend Bulbofuhrer has already introduced the death penalty for treason. Next in line is a fastened tent. As Medvedev said, we don't even need to change the constitution, the decision of the Constitutional Court is enough. Mausers are polished, paws are combed, smear your foreheads with brilliant green, Chikatila's day is coming.